Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshulmanitan Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Manupeta Apeta Krityam Rapayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Binedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Munimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshay Kiptascha Kamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Tave Vasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kapatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we're going to continue hearing about the glories of Sri Harinam, and we first offer our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nitya Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Asto Tarsat Sri Srimad Abhaya Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, and unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nitya Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Asto Tarsat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, under our exalted Rupanuga Guru Varga, especially Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the author of Jaiva Dharma, which we are reading from, and all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So, we've been hearing over the past many, many days the glories of Sri Harinam, Sri Nam Sarup, being non-different, Krishna's name, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's form, all non-different. Very impossible for us to understand that. Because in this world, if I call your name, it's different. I could be in another room, call your name, and you're not there. Or Srila Prabhupada used to give the example, you say Coca-Cola, you don't get a Coke just by saying Coca-Cola, right? But in the spiritual realm, Krishna and his name are identical, and Krishna has incarnated in all ages, but especially in the Kali Yuga, through his name. And we heard all this extraordinary Nam Tattva reinforcing and explaining that conception in order to give us this foundation of Sambandha Tattva, this knowledge of the nature of Sri Nam, so that we develop faith and appreciation for the process of chanting. And now we've been hearing about the offenses to chanting so that we can chant properly. Because if we chant while associating with these offenses, then our chanting doesn't have the effect, the transcendental effect that we are hoping for. It actually can derail our bhakti. But what to do, since we are beginning on this platform of Nama Aparadha, the example, the instruction has been, then study these offenses, try within your heart to avoid them, and continually chant with a remorseful mentality, and Sri Nam will eliminate these offenses, right? So we heard 1 through 3, right? We heard Sadhu Ninda, Guru Ninda, offending Sri Guru or great Mahabhagavats. We heard about considering that the demigods are the same as the Lord, that there are many independent and separate Ishwaras, controllers, or gods, which is incorrect. More correct to understand that, yes, these powerful entities exist, and they even have the function of creation and destruction within this material universe, but that is empowered by the Lord himself. They're his agents, so to speak. And at the same time, because they are devotees of the Lord, we don't disrespect them. Jai Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Radha Manju Ki Jai. Let's take a peek here. This QuickTime doesn't have such great resolution, but there they are at a distance. Okay. That Photoshop did better, but Photoshop doesn't save. So what's the point of making a high-res recording if it doesn't save? Useless. So then we heard about, oh wait, did I cover everything? Oh yes, also to the second offense, to consider what we mentioned earlier, that the holy name is actually different from the Lord himself. Not just some means to an end, but actually the Lord himself. Many so-called students of Vedic culture, many claiming to be on the path, think that the path of bhakti is just something that you practice for some time, and then when you achieve your goal, you give it up. Bhakti is the eternal nature of the soul. It's the eternal relationship between the soul and the Lord. And so the name of Krishna and the practice of chanting Hare Krishna, Radha Krishna, is an eternal function of the soul. And then the third one was to neglect the order of Sri Guru, right? And understand that Sri Guru, that Nam Guru, is actually perfect in every way. One who has realized the transcendental nature of Sri Nam, the non-difference between Sri Krishna and his name, who has realization of their own spiritual identity as well, they're equipped with all knowledge. And to think that they are somehow inadequate or incomplete, they may know some Shastra, but they don't know everything. This is also an offense, right? And the topmost guru is Nam Tattvavid Guru, one who is complete in that. There are many gurus who teach many different subjects, many different kinds of knowledge, different processes. But Nam Tattvavid Guru is topmost of all. So, after hearing all that, Vijay and Brajanath, Vijay said, we are assured of well-being if we can maintain pure bhakti towards you, because Raghunath Das Babaji is their guru. Please explain the fourth offense. So, 4 out of 10 here. Raghunath Das Babaji he responds, there is a special instruction in the Shruti regarding the ultimate goal. There, the glories of Sri Nam are declared to be the foremost of spiritual processes. Now we're going to get a few verses here. Om Asya Jananto Namachid Viviktanas Mahastu Vishno Sumatim Bhajamahe Om Tat Sat. Sri Vishnu, one who declaration. O Sri Vishnu, one who chants Sri Nam thoughtfully and properly will not be confused and disturbed in his bhajan and other regulative practices. Are you ever disturbed in your bhajan or other regulative practices or in your daily life? Well, here's the remedy. You have to work on our chanting thoughtfully and properly. Not like me, where I just, okay, I got him done, whoop, down with the bee bag. No, we're associating with Radha and Krishna directly, thinking like that, and with attention, right? Thoughtfully and properly. Then our confusion, disturbance in bhajan, and regulative practice, that will fall away. In other words, when one accepts Sri Nam, there is no question of the place, time, and person being favorable or unfavorable, because Sri Nam is the all-illuminating, personified form of knowledge and the supreme knowledgeable object. Therefore, we offer our prayers to Sri Nam. So in other words, just as the liberated soul is never out of association with the Supreme Lord, always connected in heart, in words, in action, in every way, Sri Nam is available to us at all times, all places, and all circumstances. There's no time when you are not allowed to chant Sri Nam. You don't want to explain Sri Nam to the wrong kind of people. We heard about that. But to chant Sri Nam and associate and pray to the Lord, this is possible at any time, any place, right? So, therefore, we offer our prayers to Sri Nam. And we offer our prayers to the associates of Sri Nam. Like this morning when I was doing Tulsi. Normally when I do Tulsi Seva, I just go about it mechanically and just tuk, 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 tuk. But this morning, having read all this, I was thinking, we pray every day, oh Tulsi, you're such a wonderful associate of Sri Krishna. I chant every morning, Bhaktivinoda Aparadha Lakshaya, I'm full of offenses, please remove them. So this morning I thought, oh Tulsi, please remove my obstacles to chant Sri Nam. And you can be doing that in any seva, whatever we're doing, praying that if you're serving the deity, Sri Nam and the deity are non-different. Pray that to the deity, to Radha and Krishna, to our gurus who were serving at the same time on the altar, please remove my obstacles to chanting Sri Nam. Let me chant with love in a favorable way that will give pleasure to you. Right? Then another verse, Om Padam Devasya Namasa Vyanta Shravasya Vashrava Ananmakatam Namani Chid Darire Yagyajani Bhadrayante Rana Yanta Sadishtatau. O most worshipable Lord, I am offering obeisance to your lotus feet again and again. Hearing the glories of your lotus feet may give bhaktas the adhikar for fame and liberation. But what is the value in that? Still more glorious are those bhaktas who engage in discussions and debates to establish your lotus feet as the ultimate abode, and together cultivate their service relationship with you through the performance of Sankirtan. When asakti appears in their hearts, they take sole shelter of your Chaitanya Sarup Nam, fully conscious name, to achieve darshan of your lotus feet. That's a very packed verse, right? That has a lot. Hearing the glories of your holy name, one may be qualified immediately for fame and liberation. Right? But what does Lord Kapila say to his mother, Devahuti? He says, my devotees, they disregard these different stages of liberation, right? To the impersonal conception, to live on the same planet as the Lord, Salokya, to have the same form as the Lord, a similar form, Sarupya, to achieve opulences like the Lord, to be in close association with the Lord. If these things are offered to the devotee, independent of the quality of prem, they disregard it. The devotee only wants prem. Prem being that completely loving attitude towards the Lord and towards the Lord's associates. Right? So what's the value of these things? Even to go to Vaikuntha, if you're there and you're not engaged in seva, there's certainly a great happiness, but for the realized devotee, one who actually understands, what Mahaprabhu came to give us that taste of the nature of a loving relationship with Bhagavan, right? There's nothing that can compare to that, right? Nothing. So, more glorious are bhaktas who engage in discussion and debates to establish your lotus feet as the ultimate abode, and together cultivate their service relationship with you through the performance of Sankirtan. So that's the purpose when we're doing arti, when we're chanting together, doing bhajans, whatever. This We have to understand the goal. We're not just singing to have a good time, like, around the campfire or something, singing songs. That's not the point. The point is, what he gives the point. Cultivate one's service relationship through the performance of Sankirtan. We're trying very deeply and sincerely to awaken that relationship. And when we awaken that, then our sense of relationship with other bhaktas also changes. Right now we have mixed relationships, sometimes contentious. Oh, this one, oh, that one, we fall victim to these little political squabbles, social squabbles, sectarian squabbles, personality squabbles, whatever it is. But we've been talking about the idea of rising above the mentality of friends and enemies, right? Our only friends are devotees. Anybody who's trying to cultivate devotion, they're our friend. There's a story years and years ago. Srila Prabhupada, his mission was going on very nicely. And there was one devotee who had come to him. And when he had come, he had been a kind of guru himself. And when he met Srila Prabhupada, he had about 50 disciples. And he gave them all to Srila Prabhupada, which is very appropriate. And Srila Prabhupada greatly appreciated the sincerity of that, right? And many of those devotees, I know to this day, many of them, they're kind of divided among different temples. And many went to Brooklyn, where I was living at that time. Actually, they got there just before I joined. And they were very, very good devotees. And then this devotee continued to serve in the place where he had been living before. And he was like a temple president. But he had a little bit of a different nature than a lot of the devotees that were coming under Srila Prabhupada. And he did things a little differently, right? Like he would buy books and then just give them away, right? And the devotees complained about that. And he wouldn't submit himself completely under some of the GBCs and sannyasis that were very prominent. Some of them had big controlling mentality. And he was a kind of peace and love kind of guy, So he just kind of ignored them a lot, not rubbed them the wrong way. And so they were complaining to Srila Prabhupada. And he was sort of independent from the institutional mentality. And we had a situation in ISKCON where hierarchy was really important, especially the ones who were up on the top, right? So they were complaining. And Srila Prabhupada was dismissing this complaint, that complaint. Then finally, Srila Prabhupada said, well, you made this complaint, that complaint. Is he chanting Hare Krishna? Or are they chanting Hare Krishna, his group? Yeah, Prabhupada, but are they chanting Hare Krishna? Yes, but Srila Prabhupada, you should know. Is he chanting Hare Krishna? Yes, then he is our friend. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Some people you can work with, some people you can't, right? The tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had innumerable branches. There can be so many varieties of the mood of seva that different people have. What to speak of enlightened persons who serve in different rasas and who in Vrindavan may even compete with each other. Chandravali's group will compete with Radhika's group, right? Different groups have different moods. It's all on a very transcendental, ingenious level, and their competition actually expands all of their praying for Krishna. Radhika herself creates this situation to give infinite variety of service, but they don't commit offenses to each other like we would in this realm. It's of a different mentality. But the point being is, especially in this world, there are going to be many different ways. And as the souls progress and develop in their spiritual evolution, they're going to go through many stages. That's why we have so many religions in the world. They are of different gradations according to their alignment with pure Shuddha Bhakti. But if they have any semblance of devotion to God, even if they don't have a very developed conception of God, we encourage it. This is the mood of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So what to speak of within our own Vaishnava societies? If you can't work with somebody, fine, let them do their seva, you do your seva, right? But don't waste your energy or your time getting all caught up in what they lack by your estimation, or how they should do it by your estimation. Just be concerned with one's own seva, do it nicely, and try to be an inspiration by your example, not by your harsh words. Gurudev always said, don't try to control, right, others by your words, by your intellect, by physical force. The only way to really control is by love, right? And love means unconditional, right? That unconditional love is a very powerful element. That is the main attraction, actually, to Christianity. The promise of, unconditional love and forgiveness, right? That's a very powerful message, right? So that's what we're all seeking, love without condition. And if somebody has that, then people are naturally attracted to want to be with and to serve and be like that person. That's the real motivator in bhakti, right? So, so through the performance of Sankirtan, right, that's how we develop our individual and group relationships. And then when a Sakti appears in their hearts, they take soul shelter of your Chaitanya Sarup Nam. A Sakti, this is when one has come to Shuddhanam, developed taste for it, ruchi, right? And gradually the taste matures, not just for enjoying the chanting of the holy name and enjoying the processes, the practices of bhakti, but actually realization of Sri Nam deepens. And one begins to understand that Sri Nam and the deity are non-different. And one begins to awaken an actual sense of one's own identity and seva-vritti, the way in which one wants to serve, and under whom one wants to serve, what kind of eternal associates. And so that's asakti, deep attachment. When that appears in the heart, they take soul shelter of your Chaitanya Sarup Nam. Remember that verse? Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, right? The name of Krishna is like Chintamani. It can bestow all spiritual benefit. It's fully conscious form of spiritual ras. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Ras means the mellows of love, right? And so when you come to that stage, just before Bhav, so many of the qualities of Bhav are coming down to touch and awaken and encourage. And then by the mercy of Sri Guru, under their guidance, we make that step into Bhav Bhakti with the instruction on Ekadash Bhav. Who are you? What is your name? What is your service? Who are your relatives and friends in the spiritual world? Where do you live? Right? What's your identity? 11 different things. So then, the next verse, Om tam u stotara purvam yatavida ritasya garvabam janusa pipartana asya jananto namachid viviktana mahaste vishnu sumatim bhajamahe. These are all from Hari Bhakti Vilas and Rig Veda. So the letter U indicates utter astonishment that we cannot make our lives successful by performing kirtan of Sri Krishna as you do, glorifying that supremely renowned, primeval, and complete Tat and Sat reality, Padartha. The reason is that we do not know how his prayers, stava, and kirtan should be performed. Therefore, our eternal duty is to fulfill the purpose of our human life by engaging in incessant Harinam Kirtan. Okay, so this is astonishment speaking to Guru, self-realized soul, that we're chanting and we have some appreciation and recognition of the glory of your holy name by your association, by your instruction, and yet we feel inadequate. And despite the mercy of the holy name, despite all things being given to us, we haven't realized this. How astonishing. And in that mentality, what should that create? Should that create an anger and a lack of faith? Hey, I've been chanting all this time, how come I'm not getting the result? No, we should be self-reflecting. Why don't we get the result? Aparadha, right? It's on us. We heard that verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I believe it was Padma Purana, that despite chanting the holy name continually, ecstasies are not arising in my heart, transformations in my body are not there. It's because my heart is like iron because of offenses, right? It's on us. But it's always out there, right? The stick and the sandash, just it's being held out to us, and we just keep going for it, keep going, right? So, see, we used to say the carrot and the stick, right? Like that's how you get a donkey to pull a cart, but we're not chasing carrots, right? We might chase a sandash though. So, according to your taste, I don't know, sandash for me. Srila Prabhupada loves sandash. You ever see a film of Srila Prabhupada eating a sandash? It's kind of mystical. I could never figure it out. He'd take it and he'd bring it to his mouth, and then somehow at this distance, he'd go like that and it would go in his mouth. Like the description of Govardhan when he's in Anukut, he's reaching out his arms, Giriraj, and all the boga made by the devotees is flying into his hands and mouth. Prabhupada, you can't even see it, just like clunk, like that. It's quite, amazing. So the sandash, or whatever it might be. Maybe it's a jalebi, maybe it's a samosa, some kind of thing to get us motivated. Prasadam is certainly a motivator. I remember in the early days when everybody was coming and coming from rough backgrounds and so many addictions and, not any real qualification for bhakti. Sometimes they get so frustrated and they'd want to leave, right? Oh, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to leave. But it's Thursday, and, the Sunday feast is coming up, or Friday, And the Sunday feast was so remarkable that I'll just wait till then. And then the Sunday feast was such an ecstatic time. Your regular seva we didn't perform that day. Everyone might be working in the kitchen or preparing for the festival or doing whatever it was. And then the feast and the kirtan and the class, everything was so ecstatic. And then you feel, Monday you're feeling great, And then you don't want to leave anymore. And then you get worn down, you have a fight with somebody, you don't like sleeping in a room with 60 guys, waiting in the line for 20 minutes to take an ice cold shower, what's this? I got to get out of here. But the Sunday feast is coming up, let me just wait one more day. And this would go on week after week until finally all those rough edges and bad moods would gradually dispel. And you take joy in your seva, even those cold showers, look forward to it. You're like, here, we have pretty cold water. It's going to get colder. And every morning, you go in there and look at that shower head. I know what's coming out of that shower head. But you do it anyway, right? And it hits you, and there's a shock. And first you go, but then the transformation, You wake up, you become enlivened, and I always think of Srila Prabhupada saying, one of the regulations, one of the things is you must take bath in the month of Magh. And that meant going to the river, right, in January. Oh, it's so cold, but you have to do it. And we would do it. And you just get used to it. And after a while, you just stand in front of that and you go, oh, Prabhupada, Gurudev, But it's pleasing to them. And it wakes you up. And it's healthy. It makes you strong. Take a cold bath. But if you really can't do it, what you do is this. You do both handles at the same time. And it'll start off ice cold, but it won't last that long. You just tolerate. And then it becomes just cool or lukecool, right? And then if you think, all right, I need to loosen up, okay, turn down the cold, do a little bit of hot, stretch out, then hit that cold up again and knock it down again and take that shock again. But after you've warmed up, you get that hot one, then it's not so hard to do. So do it in the beginning and the end, and it's very healthy for you. Doctors and people who know about that stuff say it's very good therapy for the body. It stimulates the immune system, stimulates circulation, stimulates brain power, even helps you lose weight. If you want to lose weight, everything works better. Your little mitochondria become enlivened in every cell. A cold bath is actually good, So, how do we get to that? Trying to figure out. Anyway, so.
The carrot on the stick. The sandesh on the stick.
Oh yeah, the sandesh on the stick, right? So there's the easy to follow stuff, and there's not so easy to follow stuff, but all of it's good, and ultimately it all becomes sandesh, right? And, even that cold bath, like after you take it, you go yes, and go out, right? So Vijay says, Vijay Kumar, oh, Prabhu, it seems as if nectar is pouring from your mouth. Now I'm very eager to understand the fifth offense. So Babaji Maharaj says, the fifth offense is to give mundane interpretations of Sri Nam. The Jayamini Samhita explains this offense as follows. Oh, Shruti, Smriti, Puraneshu, Nama Mahatmya Bachisu, Ye Rita Vada Iti Bruyur, Nate Sham Nirayakshaya. Those who consider that the mantras of the Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads, and other Vedic literatures have exaggerated the glories of Bhagavan's name will go to everlasting hell and never return. Right? Because some people will say, well, it's just explained like that so people take up chanting. But it can't really do all that. Come on. Right? But that's because they don't understand the fundamental Nam Tattva. Right? They don't have faith in the words of Krishna, especially you read 11th canto, Uddhava Gita, right? Or Bhagavad Gita, right? Krishna's talking about his Chatushloki, constantly immersed in glorifying my name, They take great pleasure and delight in speaking about me. So, they think it's just exaggeration. Mahaprabhu also speaking about that power of Sri Nam. Even if your intelligence can't grasp that the holy name could be so wonderful, I understand that we're like the frog in the well. Srila Prabhupada always gave that example. Frog in the well represents somebody who's like a scientist, right? They think they're really learned, but they're only learned in a very small sphere of experience, right? And so the frog, he's the king of the well. Maybe a big well, he's down there, and some other frog falls into the well. And this frog has been all over, and he's even been to the ocean. And he starts talking to the frog in the well, who's Professor Frog. In the well, he's highly respected, amongst the frog population. And this other frog starts telling about the ocean. Oh, so it's water. It must be like my well. Oh, it's much greater than your well. What do you mean, much greater? And then he tries to use his intelligence. Is it twice the size of my well? Oh, no, much, much more. 3 times, and each time he says it, his big bladder goes 3 times, 5 times, oh, much bigger. And he's just puffing. Finally, is it 10 times? Oh, and he bursts. And his attempt to understand and his arrogance and always restricting and limiting the validity of conception to his own immediate experience, he just dies, right? But how could anyone know? Because someone came down who had seen that reality. So the reality of Sri Nam is spoken not just hypothetically, it's spoken and delivered by persons who have experienced it, ultimately by God himself and by his representatives. So that's the amazing thing about Vedic culture, the Gaudiya traditions, is that they're aligned with the teachings of the sampradayas, which have been coming down from time immemorial. I was thinking about that this morning, when we talk about Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago, people say, what, 5,000 years ago? To them, that seems like, that's the beginning of history. That's what they think, that up until that time, people were, gathering in the forests and just barely beginning agrarian culture, 5,000. But for us, it's like the blink of an eye. We toss around 5,000, oh, that's nothing. What about Dwarpa Yuga? Back then, or Treta Yuga, when Lord Ram was, or Satya Yuga. And this is one of so many Satya Yugas. We're in the middle of Lord Brahma's day, right? Billions and billions of years of history have taken place in our calculation. And Lord Brahma, it's the middle of his life. Each day is 4.5 billion years. Each night is 4.5 billion years. How many years? He's lived for 50 years. We can't even calculate how many trillions of years this universe has been around. Manifest and sleeping, unmanifest, going through different transformation. But the time scale of Vedic culture is very vast. And so you have to start off, if you can't have faith in it unless you begin to study more deeply and broadly and see how broad and consistent it is, all the different branches, and then see all the different writers who are writing about their experiences and realizations, how consistent those are, right? And then ultimately by practicing yourself. I remember when I was first going to the temple, I bought some books, couldn't understand a dang thing. First week, second week. Then I got some beads and started chanting. And all of a sudden, I could understand we had this little blue Bhagavad Gita, kind of abridged version. No Sanskrit, no verses, and some of the purports were abridged. But it became very clear, just by chanting, a little bit, even in my state, right? So to think that these are exaggeration, this is the fifth offense, or to give mundane interpretations. Now he quotes Brahma Samhita, where Sri Bhagavan has said to Brahma, Ya nama kirtana palam vividam nishamya na shradhadati manute yarutartavadam yo manusastam iha dukachaye chipami samsara gora vividarti nipitadangam. And that means if a human being does not become faithful when he hears the glories of Harinam, but believes them to be exaggeration, I put him into the terrible cycle of birth and death with all kinds of miseries. Right? So sometimes when it says, I send them to everlasting hell, it just means the samsara, right? The cycle of activity, enjoyment, reaction to that, whatever birth you might have to take. Even going to the higher planets is considered ghastly and undesirable by a pure devotee. They have no interest in that. So if you don't have faith in that holy name, then you just have to keep cycling away. In the Shastras, it is said that Bhagavan's names contain all his Shaktis. Sri Nam is completely spiritual, and therefore he is successful in destroying the illusion of this material world. When it says he, it means Sri Nam, right? So this is an amazing thing, and a special benefit in the Kali Yuga, because in the Kali Yuga, any utterance of the holy name gives great, great benefit. Even to one who's completely unknowing of the power of the Shakti, even if, they're going to the Bola Rama, or the Auto Rama, or the Laundry Rama, or whatever, all the, or even the syllables of the holy name in a word, like somebody's last name, like Harrison. I had this next door neighbor in San Francisco, his store next to mine. His name was Harry, right? And he's an interesting character, but, just materialist, but Harry. And every day he's saying his name, people are saying his name. He's getting that benefit, this Nam Abbas. Great benefit he's getting. And even if those syllables are separated in a word, right? The ha in one place and the re later on, still the benefit is there. So all the Shakti, and Krishna is using that in the Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga is so merciful. So even people who see Hare Krishnas chanting on the street and laughing and joking, right? Hey, looks to Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. They're getting the benefit. They're getting huge benefit by that. Right? Or even they're saying, I hate those Hare Krishnas. They're getting benefit. They get benefit. So he quotes Vishnu Dharma Purana. Krishneti Mangalam Nama Yasya Vachi Pravartate Basmi Bhavanti Rajendra Mahapataka Kotaya. O king, millions of sins are turned to ashes if the supremely auspicious form of Krishna's Nam resides in one's mouth. That even Nama Bas, which we've cited this 6th canto, especially 1st, 2nd, 3rd chapters, Ajamil pastime, where the power of even Nama Bas is described. Sanketam Parihasam Va, Shodram Helanam Evava, right? In whatever way one chants this holy name, mistaking it to be something else, jokingly, disparagingly, right? Inattentively, still they get benefit, and sin gets burned to ashes. Brihan Naradiya Purana. Nanyat Pashyami Jantunam Vihai Hari Kirtanam Sarva Papa Bashamanam Prayashchitam Dvijotama. O best among the Brahmanas, Sri Harinam is the atonement that destroys all forms of sins. And I consider that one who gives up Sri Nam to be no more than an animal. Don't ever give up Sri Nam. Right? All good things will come from Sri Nam. In the past, in other systems of yoga, you have to do this prayashchitta, atonement, of different kinds, right? And if you don't do it perfectly, you don't get the result. Or if you do it and then you commit sin again, then you have to start all over again. But Harinam is so powerful that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in his commentaries of the conversation between the Vishnudutas and Yamadutas, that not only was Ajamil's past sins purified by his uttering of the name of his son, Narayan, but because he uttered the name Narayan, not only his past sins, but all his future sins were also destroyed. And then, Nam no hi javati shakti, papa ni harane hare, tavat kartum na shaknoti, patakam pataki nara. The potencies of Sri Harinam can remove more sins than the most sinful person can possibly commit. Right, and the Yamadutas are saying, this Ajamil, we can't even tell you how many sins he's done. But Vishnuduta said, doesn't matter. Holy name burns them all to ashes. So, goes on to say, Babaji Maharaj, all these glories of Sri Nam are the supremely absolute truth. But when people active in karma and gyan hear them, they concoct explanations to protect their own activities. Their explanation is that the glories of Sri Nam mentioned in Shastra are not really the truth, but are exaggerations intended to create a taste for Sri Nam. Nama Aparadha will prevent such offenders from getting a taste for Harinam. So don't think like that. That's an obstacle. Don't allow yourself to think like that. If it comes into your mind, say, oh, my mind is so uncontrolled, so contaminated and wicked. These thoughts are coming to my mind, but oh Lord, please, oh Gurudev, oh Lord, oh Vaishnavas, oh our Sampradayacharyas, please remove this offense from my heart. That remorse and desire is a very important ingredient for the reformation and purification of our Nam, to go from Nama Aparadha into Nama Bas. Nama Aparadha will prevent such offenders from getting a taste for Harinam. You should perform Harinam with full faith in the statements of the Shastra and never take the association of those who give mundane explanations. Furthermore, if they unexpectedly appear before your eyes, you should take bath with all your clothes on. That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. Right. Sometimes it's said you should kill them or cut out their tongue, but that's for different ages and different qualities of people, not for us. Yes, we just avoid their association. But this bathing of with your clothes on, I have one godbrother, Bhagrat Maharaj. He, one of our godbrothers was speaking to him in a very offensive way about Gurudev, Gaudiya Math, even the process of bhakti they describe. And it just felt so unclean. He immediately called up Gurudev, because Gurudev was in America, and he was nearby. And he told him that. He said, what should I do? I feel so unclean. He says, are you near the ocean? He says, yeah, I'm right across the street. Go in the ocean with all your clothes on right now. And this is a public beach. Everybody's there, right? And so there he goes. He goes walking into the ocean with all his clothes on. Everybody's looking at him like, who's this weirdo, you know? Some crazy person. But he did it, submerged himself, 3 times, came out, and he felt so relieved. He didn't care what people are thinking or anything like that. He felt relieved. So Vijay responds to all of this. Prabhu, it appears difficult for householders to chant Shuddha Harinam because we are always surrounded by offensive people who are not at all devotional. It is very difficult for Brahmana Pandits like ourselves to have satsanga. Prabhu, please give us the strength to give up bad association. The more I hear from your mouth, the more my thirst for hearing increases. Now please explain the 6th offense to us. The point being that, and this is described in other parts of Jaiva Dharma, they discuss this. You have to avoid bad association, but people living in the world are surrounded by it. It may be family, it may be associates at work, walking down the street. So the way to avoid the bad association is not to discuss spiritual topics with them, neither to share your own intimate realizations and feelings, nor to hear from them. Just do your business, right? And associate in the normal course. But if you're not hearing about, and don't, go out and socialize. Hey, after work, let's go out and get drinks. No, let's go do this, go do that. Just don't hang with them, right? Do your necessary social obligations, but not beyond that, right? And keep your camphor. Camphor is a very rare and wonderful thing, real camphor. And if you keep it in an airtight box. But if you open it up, hey, look, I've got camphor. It'll evaporate and disappear very quickly. So just keep the camphor of your spiritual practice and spiritual faith in your heart. And don't share that deeper part with people. It's sacred. It's sacred. But if you do associate with Mayavads and you discuss these things, you'll lose it. I heard Gurudev warn many people, and they didn't take it, and I saw them lose it. Right? And that means for some time. They get separated from their bhakti. Not even that they become bad people, but they lose their bhakti. You know, I've seen it. It's amazing. It's astonishing. So tomorrow we'll hear the sixth offense. Okay. So that was nice. Let me close this. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev, all glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol.